Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Bill Levinson, managing partner with Levinson and Associates. Joe, if we can just show the screen, that would be great. Okay, we have a ton of agents on, and I appreciate everyone taking the time. So basically what today's webinar is about, it's kind of like a part one of selling over the phone or online, okay? Part two is going to be Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. That's where we're going to jump into more voice signature, some of the latest carriers to implement that process. But the goal was for today's presentation was to cater to, let's say, the agent that is, 27 years old, that's been crushing it, pre-COVID, during COVID, hopefully post-COVID, and they're very comfortable with technology and social media and driving traffic to their website and using GoToMeeting, whatever the case is. Yes, we have to cater to that agent, but we also have to cater to the agent that is in their third bedroom office in Wisconsin, okay, who's, let's say, in their 70s or even 80s, okay, that maybe is not so comfortable utilizing technology, okay, maybe is not so comfortable selling over the phone and online. So, we teamed up and said, okay, how are we going to spend the next 20 minutes and make sure that everyone, no matter what your expertise level is or your age or how long or short you've been selling insurance, we wanted to make sure everyone walked away with a nugget that's going to help you, especially during these challenging times. So that's what today's presentation is about in a nutshell. Make sure you have your pen and paper ready because we are going to go very, very quickly. You can ask questions as we go. There's a question box. We will do our best to answer all of the questions. And if not, we will answer as soon as we are done. We're also going to send out a thank you email to every attendee that's on today's call, okay? So if you don't have this, before we close up shop tonight, okay, we usually leave around 6:30 or 7. If you don't have a thank you email with a copy of these slides, then there's a problem, either A, with your email, B, it's in your junk folder, or C, we have an incorrect email address for you. So in that case, please call or try to email me directly. Give me your right email. We'll make sure that this goes out to you, okay? That's simple. Okay, now, obviously, we're dealing through this pandemic that everybody is aware of, okay, and that's the reason, quite frankly, why we're having this webinar. But I don't want you to think for a second that, poor me, I've done things the old-fashioned way since '82, and I meet my customers at Starbucks and bring my yellow legal pad and my banner rate book, okay? That is great, and if it worked for you during that time, that's wonderful, but this is a new world that we're in. Okay, so you have to understand that you must pivot and make changes to be successful, okay? And I'm not talking about just during COVID-19. I'm also talking about post-COVID-19. And the reason why is you're going to see, and you're already seeing, lots of carrier changes utilizing technology. There's going to be some carriers that won't even have a paper app soon. Okay, or they'll bonus you for using their e-app platform. We already have a few carriers that do that now, so it is time to change. And I'll give you an example. We have one of our agents, and he's on this call right now, okay? I'll give you an age range. I don't want to say his exact age, but he is between 70 and 80 years old. This guy has been mailing in applications to us every single day. So to see him change, not only change, but grow his practice during this time tells me we can all do this. It doesn't matter how old or how young you are or how short or how long you've been in the business. It doesn't make a difference. We have another agent who was on last week's webinar, Emmanuel. His numbers are skyrocketing right now, okay? So there's no excuse. And I don't care if you say I've been doing things the same way for the last 29 and a half years, Bill, and that's the way I'm going to do things. That's fine, okay? If you want to run your business and your life like that, hey, by all means, you're 100% independent. But I'm telling you right now, we have agents in their 70s and 80s that have been doing this longer than me, Joe, and Andrew put together, and they're crushing it during these times. So let's jump in, sit back, relax, listen, pay attention. If you have questions, we'll revisit after the call. And then don't forget, Thursday is our full-length webinar where we're going to dive into everything a little deeper. Today's just the 100-foot overview. Okay, lots of carrier changes. As I just mentioned, you know, it's funny. You see Prudential pull out of the 30-year term market. You see Protective jump into the 35 and 40-year term market. So lots and lots of changes going on in front of our eyes. It's the craziest time I've ever seen in my 23 years in the business, okay? And Kerry's been in the business much longer than me, and he's saying the same thing and totally agrees. The point is, you have to know what's going on with the carriers that you're selling. So what we did real quick on our website, levinsonandassociates.com, or you can just type in kerrylevinson.com, go to your dashboard. You'll see COVID-19 updates circled in red. You'll see every carrier on the right side. As soon as you click, every single update is sitting there for your eyes. It's updated in real time. So make sure you're in the loop. I would check that on the minimum at least once a day. Okay, so please make sure that you're paying attention because we're seeing lots of new changes, positive and negative, so both sides of it. Okay, without further ado, we're going to have Joseph Loughran is joining us. Andrew Paris will take it after Joe is done, and then I'm going to close up. We're going to try to stick to 20 minutes, but as you can see, I already went 5 minutes too long. Joe's going to take it from here. Joe?
Thanks, Bill. Yeah, I want to dive right in and kind of focus on what agents are selling now. So this is kind of a look back for the last 30, 45 days since we really kind of dove into the whole COVID environment. I want to kind of share what agents are selling, what clients are buying, to give you a good idea of what products we should be focusing on. So number one, obviously term life. People are worried about, you know, they need that death benefit. And our top term carriers right now are Sagicor, American National, who, by the way, will both do $1 million of non-med, and then Pacific Life. They've got phenomenal term rates, very, very fast underwriting, quick turnaround. So if you're looking at vanilla term products, 10, 15, 20, 30 year, Bill mentioned there's some 35, 40-year options with Protective Life. Those are all great options. Number two, term with living benefits. A lot of people, of course, are getting sick now. They're not dying. They're worried about how that life insurance policy can help them accelerate death benefits. American National has living benefits, chronic critical included on all their products. Another great company, Life of the Southwest, one of the original living benefit carriers. We're seeing a lot of good production being put through both those carriers. Disability income, you know, looking at people getting sick and not dying. Yes, life insurance is important, but disability income principal and Illinois Mutual have awesome DI products. Illinois Mutual even has an ROP rider you can put on that product. So if you don't claim and turn 65, you get a complete return of premium. So awesome product there. Also, this one might kind of take you by surprise, but critical illness, cancer policies. I read something this morning, you know, the number of people getting screened for cancer is way, way down because they don't want to go to the hospital. They don't want to go to the doctor. So having that CI or cancer plan that pays a lump sum is something that people are definitely looking at, specifically the hospital plan. So SureBridge has a great product called Hospital Wise. This has really jumped up since the COVID-19 outbreak, and I'll show you why on this slide. It actually pays a daily cash benefit if the client is confined to a hospital. So if that client was confined to a hospital for, let's say, 10 days, they had a $500 a day benefit and a 10-day benefit, they'd get $5,000 cash. There's also an emergency care rider. And that's important because if you go to the emergency room, you're going to receive that benefit. With most clinics being shut down and some, you know, outpatient centers being shut down, most people, if they're really sick, are going to the ER, and you can claim on that benefit. So very important to kind of pitch those products when you're talking to clients. Also at the bottom there are annuity plans. With all the market volatility, we're seeing a huge push in index annuities. Some of those top carriers are Equitrust, Atlantic Quotes, and Equitable. There's actually a 1% bonus on the Equitrust product. We just sent out an email yesterday, and if you're looking for more information, contact the annuity team. They can tell you a little bit more exactly on kind of how that works and what to look for in those annuity products. I'm going to now jump into some key tips to kind of transform your practice. So like Bill said, a lot of agents are contacting us and saying, hey, how do I do things differently? How do I kind of transition my business from seeing people belly to belly to now being over the phone and kind of selling through the internet? So I'm going to dive in real quick here. A couple of things I'm going to focus on is how to get prospects to show up for the virtual meeting. We've all had those appointments where you go to someone's home and they ghost you, they don't answer the door, That happens in the online marketplace as well. So we're going to talk about how to make sure people show up for those virtual meetings. We're also going to talk about the follow-up process before the actual virtual meeting. You want to make sure that you're following up with that client, that they're reminded of that meeting, and that you're also going to be able to have the right layout for the virtual meeting. We're going to go over some tips and features and how to make sure that those are all set up correctly, and then also how to build trust in a virtual meeting. It's a completely different interaction when we see someone face to face. We can look at someone, look at their facial expressions, read their body language, but in a virtual environment, things are completely different. So we have to be able to adjust to that. And then also what type of presentations you should be using. A lot of agents hone in their presentation skills. They know what to say, they know what to point out, they know what forms and paperwork and marketing flyers to go over. And when you're in a virtual environment, you have to kind of adjust that whole plan to kind of make sure you're talking the same language as that client on that virtual environment. So here we go. I'm going to jump in a little bit deeper here. We will be emailing everything out today. So I know it's a lot of material, but you're actually going to get PDFs of everything I'm covering. So question number one, best ways to get people to show up for that virtual meeting. Try not to set the appointment for the following week or later in the week. You know, people are working from home for the most part. So when it comes to the end of the week, they're looking towards that weekend. Try to do something maybe later that day or even in the next couple hours and try to lock down that appointment. Since everyone's working pretty much from home, you can do something early in the morning or later in the evening to kind of make sure that it's not interfering with the workday. And I think that really helps get people to commit to those different appointments. Also, don't push the Zoom meeting or the online platform. Give them the option. Some people still want to have that phone call, but they don't want to fumble with the technology. I agree to use technology to your advantage, but if someone's not that comfortable, you don't want to push them towards that platform. Once you have them on the phone, you can ask them, hey, do you have a computer, a laptop, a tablet? And if they do, encourage them to get onto that video conferencing platform. And then also let them know before your appointment, text them with your contact information. That way they can add it into their phone. And then when you call them or text them, they'll know exactly who you are. It's not going to be a random number that they may not answer because they're not familiar with it. Also, at the very bottom, there's a great platform called Calendly. It's Calendly. You can use the app to set appointments, and you can really customize it to make sure that that client accepts your appointment, and they'll be constantly reminded leading up to that appointment. Number two, what are the follow-up processes prior to that virtual meeting? Again, using that platform, sending them a text message, letting them know who you are to remind them, even using Outlook Calendar, Google Calendar, they can accept your invitation. Number three, what is the layout of the virtual meeting? You want to make sure you're in a quiet space. You also want to make sure, although you're home, that you dress business casual, and also be aware of what your background looks like. You don't want to be, have an office and then there's a mess or something doesn't look professional, and make sure to keep the camera eye level. You want to make sure that they're making eye contact with you during that virtual meeting. Skipping forward to number four here, how do you build rapport during that online meeting? Like I said, it's very different than being face-to-face. Ask them questions, how they're holding up during all the social distancing, what are they looking forward to once all this is over, maybe a trip or a vacation or something, and that helps them kind of relate to you on a one-on-one basis that you would normally have when you're meeting them face-to-face. So if you're doing that video conference, let them see you actually share your screen and go into your website. You can actually show them a little bit about who you are just by scrolling through your website, and then you don't have to focus on spending too much time on who you are and what you do, and really more time on how you're going to help them. And then number five, what type of presentations would you use and how would you change that when you're meeting someone face-to-face versus that virtual environment? I always say shorten the presentation a little bit. You've got about 20 minutes before you start losing their attention. So kind of highlighting your website, some key aspects. If you don't have a website, we offer free ones to all agents, but if you don't, maybe do a quick one-page overview of specifically how you can help them and maybe some of your history in that environment to kind of show them that you've been able to help other clients just like them. And then finally, some virtual sales equipment. You know, I get a lot of questions about what platform should I use? Do I need to have a webcam? So using either GoToMeeting, which you're on right now, or Zoom, Typically, when you're dealing, with the average client, the Zoom platform is probably preferable just because of the speed they're able to get up and running with it. With a lot of these programs, sometimes the clients have to download an extra little add-on. So using Zoom or GoToMeeting is preferable. And again, also say, look, if you'd rather just talk on the phone, we can do that as well. If you are going to use any of those platforms, make sure you have a clear phone, or you can get a microphone that you can hook up to your PC. There's one brand that's preferable, which is called Blue Yeti, but most USB microphones will work pretty well with your computer or laptop. When it comes to cameras, you don't want to spend too much money on those cameras, but any sort of webcam, USB camera, Logitech has some really, really good ones that you can set up. And you can sit back a little bit so they can, of course, be eye level and kind of see who you are in your environment. Again, making sure that it's a professional office, make sure to clean up everything so that it looks great. And then also look at your lighting, your backdrop. You don't want to be in front of the computer and there be a window behind you. That creates kind of a silhouette. So you may need to move some things around a little bit so that when they're looking at you, everything looks professional and you can actually focus on the presentation versus them being distracted with the surroundings or what your office looks like. So a couple key tips there. I know I went through that kind of quick. We'll be emailing it out to everybody after the call so that we can kind of dive in a little bit deeper and you can take notes on all the environment. I'm going to actually hand it back over to Andrew here so we can dive into some additional key sales components.
Great. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. That was excellent stuff. I'm going to quickly talk to you guys about the 5-step approach. So once you guys already have the outlay that Joe just went over, which is, how to set the appointment, how to get them on the call, make sure the lighting's right. Once you're there, you got to know actually how to make them interested in what you have to say. So right here, just quickly, I'm going to go over these top 5-step approach, right? Why life insurance? They need to know what they're actually buying and why it's important. Paint the visual picture. Create a sense of urgency, right? They're not going to do anything if they don't see a need to do it now. Share other client stories. Use storytelling as a way to help them communicate and build that rapport with you. They love to hear things like that, and manage objections effectively. So I think that this is probably the most important thing, and we created an extra slide just to go over objections specifically. And these are the ones that you guys are going to get the most commonly, right? You're going to get the I can't afford it, or I want to think about it. You need to create a clear purpose for the life insurance. If they don't see a value or a need or an emotional connection to the life insurance, they're not going to buy it. It's that simple, right? So once you're able to create that connection, they're going to say things like, well, I can't afford it. I want to think about it. Well, price only matters in the absence of value. So if they don't see that it's necessary, they won't pay for it. They're not saying I can't afford it. They're saying I don't want to afford it. Number 3 there is I want to think about it. They didn't say no. So go ahead and say, great, while you're thinking about it, let's get the application going. The carrier sometimes takes up to 30 days to make a decision. So great, you can think about it while we get it approved, right? Easy enough. I'd like to shop around. Well, we all know that Levinson and their agents represent over 80 insurance carriers. So you could say, I can do that for you. There's no need to shop around when I represent every single company in the entire country. So just keep those things in mind when you're talking to your clients so they can't really say no and you can move forward. So we're going to dive ahead here and just tie it all together, right? So from what Joe said, from what I said, tell a story, create that connection, right? Share statistics. They love to hear that 87% of people are doing their shopping online. They're not alone, right? That's a LIMRA statistic. Emphasize the need for the insurance, losing income like disability or an illness. That could create a huge family issue. So make sure they understand that. Make it personal. What would they do without it? What their family would do without it? And be confident. Know what you're talking about. Portray that confidence on the phone and on that video call, and they would want to work with you as well. I'm going to go ahead and get it back to Joe, and he can show you exactly how to submit the e-app and drop ticket once they say, yes, I want to move forward.
Thanks, Andrew. Great stuff. So a big part of this is obviously using technology. And what I'm going to focus on now is just looking at levinsonandassociates.com, because when you get them to say yes and you go into that e-application, you've got to be able to have that information in front of you. So going right underneath the Forms tab, you can jump right into all the e-application, e-delivery information. We're going to send out all the training links so you can actually dive in and actually walk through this process and kind of see exactly how it's done. One of the common questions I get pretty often is, well, what's an e-application versus a drop ticket? And I'm going to dive into that very, very quickly here. So the e-application is really a full application. You're filling out all the information, all the medical questions. you're putting in the client's email address, and they are actually getting an email to e-sign that application. So a great process to finish everything start to finish. If maybe the client is restricted on time, you only have 5-6 minutes, you can jump into the drop ticket. The drop ticket allows you just to enter in basic client information and let the carrier do the rest. So you're basically filling out pertinent contact information, the product they're applying for, maybe 1 or 2 health questions, and then you actually submit that to the carrier. The carrier will call that client, do a telephone interview, and in most cases approve it without a paramed exam depending upon the carrier. The entire process of submitting that drop ticket is about 5 minutes start to finish. So very quick, very easy. Here's a screenshot of exactly what it looks like. Very basic information. You submit it to the agency, and then we can actually move forward with the home office and get that application into the system. So very quick, very easy. If you're doing the e-application process, you'll notice a little more information needs to be put in, more detailed beneficiary information, medical question, replacement insurance, everything that you would normally do on a paper application, but in an electronic environment. So both are great options, but really just depends on how much time that client has. And keep in mind, you can start the process, save it, come back out, maybe set up a second call, or if you just want to go through the e-app, I recommend filling out as much as possible, then getting the client on the phone, so you're only taking a couple minutes of their time versus spending 10-15 minutes on that call to fill out the entire e-application. Also, super important right now is e-delivery. If you do the entire e-application system, they go through underwriting, and then you have to mail them a paper policy or meet them to sign delivery requirements. You're really not doing a completely paperless process. So that's where e-delivery comes in. This is a great feature. It's available with several carriers. When you actually get the policy approved, everything comes over electronically. The email goes directly to the client. You also get a copy of it so they can e-sign, deliver the policy, pay online, and there's no need for any snail mail. So you're literally saving a couple weeks by using all those platforms. And we're going to be sending out all the training links so you can dive in and kind of test each one of these platforms this afternoon.
Okay, good stuff. This is going on record, the fastest Levinson webinar ever. We are just about done here. So real quick, I'm going to touch on, I literally have 4 slides and we are done. So this is all available on our website, free for all Levinson active agents. Just go to levinsonandassociates.com. This is the iGenius training section, okay? So everything that you're looking at on the right side are tiles. You can literally just click on whichever one that you want to open, and it will give you all of the information regarding e-applications, drop tickets, non-med, final expense, everything at your fingertips, even our lead programs that are available for co-op exclusive access to Levinson agents only. So take advantage of this stuff. On the left side is all of the agents out there. We actually built this pre-COVID for final expense, mortgage term agents that were selling from home. Okay, we even have trainings. We brought in a third-party consultant that is awesome for selling over the phone, Todd Ewing. We have a 3-part training series from Todd Ewing, from Joe Ross, Emmanuel and Ian are 2 featured agents of ours that were selling 99% of the time over the phone pre-COVID. So you should listen to their webinars and their podcasts because they're agents just like you, and they've been doing this even before Corona was even known as, or it was known as a freaking beer at the time. Okay, so take advantage of this and leverage everything that they have learned over the years. Okay, very important. We built all this for you to take advantage of. Okay, let's move forward here. So we are just about done. And like I just mentioned, you know, if you want to listen to, let's say, Ian or Emmanuel, these are 2 one-hour podcast episodes where I sat down with them and picked their brain for literally 1 hour and just spoke about, you know, what's their angle and, you know, how do they look at selling, let's say, online or over the phone, and what are some of the tips and tricks, just like as if you were sitting down in front of them. So take advantage of this. The podcast is available. It's free on our website or YouTube or your favorite podcast channel right from your iPhone or smartphone or tablet. It's all free, and I have some awesome guest speakers. In fact, we have one new guest speaker a month, some real winners here as far as social media, the Forbes 400, one of the top estate planning attorneys. I mean, you name it. We even have the American League home run record holder, Jorge Soler, that was on the Cubs World Series team. I interview him for an hour. So just tons of inspiration and motivation built for you all, okay? And, you know, I always look at things like the glass half full or half empty, especially at a time like this. It's time to be positive and see how we can leverage our resources to make it through this. Not only make it through this, but to come out as a winner on the other side. This is going to change your life, okay, for the good, if you take advantage of what we have to offer and what these carriers are now offering as far as technology and non-med underwriting, and the list goes on and on and on. So anyway, check this out, Bill Levinson Experience. I want to know your thoughts. Leave a review, a comment on our Facebook page or on your podcast channel. We'll send you the free IUL prospecting book. Okay, more training. So as we know, especially most of you are home right now. Now is the time to jump into training. Learn, and I don't care how long you've been doing this. We never know enough, especially in this business. As soon as you think that you got it, you just lost it. It's that simple. So make sure you are learning every single day in every way. This is our agency Automator training. So all of our technology, we literally focus on every single day at 2 p.m. Eastern. Kevin, our programmer, hosts the call. It's an open forum. It gives you a chance to ask questions and dig in to make sure that you're comfortable. Legacy Armor now, every Wednesday, 2 p.m. That's our online safe deposit box. It's like a security vault. It's available free for all Levinson agents to offer to their clients. Another great door opener. Also, real quick, we don't even, in fact, this isn't even mentioned, but Insure Me Now Direct, you know, you talk about you're diving in and you're learning to sell online and over the phone, which is all great, but why not have your own Amazon insurance platform running in the background right from your website and your social media pages? So Insure Me Now Direct is now up and running 100%. We literally have 5 carriers, 16 products, the new $500,000 instant decision direct-to-consumer term with built-in e-policy delivery. And guess what? I just found out all of the outstanding contracts or appointments will be done by the end of this week, early next week. We have like 400 contracts in right now since we launched this about 2.5 weeks ago. But now is the time. Submit your contracting, get your platform up and running. It's all free. So in my opinion, it's a win-win. Okay, the 2 upcoming training events. Okay, that's what you're on right now today. So next, or actually this Thursday, we have the part 2 version of what we're going over today. We jump into exclusive voice signature platforms, all of the different technology resources and platforms and carriers that are shining right now during this pandemic. We're going to hold your hand. That's going to be a full 1-hour training. Make sure you're on that. That's part 2 of what we're going over today. Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Also, May 7th, 2 p.m. Eastern. This is really cool. So we literally handpicked the top final expense carriers and products. We're diving into voice signature and who has the fastest, most streamlined process and most liberal underwriting. It's all about final expense. Our lead programs we're introducing. We have a new turnkey platform called Legacy Safeguard. It's free for all of you final expense agents. We just made some changes, updates to that as well. So everything final expense is on May 7th, 2 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you're on these 2 webinars, especially during this time. Okay, we are going to end with our Positive Tuesday quote. Today happens to be Tuesday, so my favorite day of the week. And by the way, what does Positive Tuesday really mean? Absolutely nothing, okay? I just made this up. This is my way of showing you all how you should be marketing on social media and keeping your name top of mind with all of your prospects, clients, friends, family. So when the insurance conversation comes up, they remember, hey, you, Billy Levinson, the insurance guy, that's who I'm calling. That's who I trust with all my insurance needs. You have to stay top of mind. Create something like this. I just come up with a cute quote, every week with a picture, come up with an insurance quote. Anything you want to do, it's all free marketing. And even if you have 3 likes or 2 comments, great. That's 5 more than what you had last week. Okay, and it starts tiny, just like we started. And look at today. Okay, we went from 200 agents to 19,000 because we started small, but we were persistent and consistent every single day in every way. We never looked back, and I hope you look at your business exactly the same way. Let's end on our Positive Tuesday quote. Remembering the good times helps us through the tough times, which prepares us for the great times. With that said, hope you enjoyed and walked away with some great nuggets of information. See you Thursday. Please leave a review, leave some comments, questions. We want to help you make it through this pandemic. Have a great week. Take care, and thanks again.